Let me just back up 1 second and get you all caught up. So I'm sitting alone in my classroom and I'm thinking to myself, if I have to teach this same boring old landforms lesson one more time, I'm going to poke myself right in the eye. But then I have an idea. So I hop in the Lambo and I gather up a chainsaw and a few other things, and here's what I did. And there you have it, a mountain, our first landform, and it's the poster child for all the landforms. But of course, mountains aren't created this way. It's a process closer to this, or this, or this. They're created from massive chunks of earth slamming into each other, and we're not going to go into detail about that right now, but we will go into much more detail later in this unit. In Canada, our most majestic mountain range is the Rocky Mountains on the west coast, British Columbia, and the Yukon Territory. And I'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Are you tired of always going uphill? Consider moving to the plains where lots of farming happens. Enjoy beautiful Saskatchewan and stop in on the set of Corner Gas. Plains, they're really flat. Welcome back. So another landform we need to look at is a plateau. And the best way I can describe a plateau is it's like a mountain, but it's had the top sawed right off. These landforms are high in elevation, but they're really flat on top. And this seems like a great time to bring up valleys. When you have extremely high elevated landforms like mountains or plateaus, everything's relative. So the top of the mountain is very high, but in between mountains are very low spots, and in between plateaus are very low spots. These low spots are called valleys. And of course, valleys can exist in other places than between plateaus and between mountains, but you get the general idea. They're very low-lying areas. One of the final landforms that we're going to look at today is called Shield, and if you've ever driven through Northern Ontario, you've definitely noticed the Canadian Shield. Shields are the base rock of ancient mountain ranges that have been hammered away from wind and rain and water and glaciers and everything else that the environment can throw at it over millions and millions of years. I'm always amazed at how nature finds a way, like when you see a tree growing pretty much just out of a rock. And you can find other cool things, like this summer I explored a mine that was dug into the Canadian Shield. And last but not least, we have the volcano, which looks very similar to a mountain, but it's formed with a completely different process. Volcanoes are formed when molten rock travels up through a vent and piles on top of itself again and again and again, and it cools and solidifies into rock. There's a process that the Earth is doing that you may not be aware of, and it's responsible for creating all of these landforms as well as many, many other landforms. And if you're not aware of that process, jump to the next video where we're going to talk about plate tectonics.